KLEAN Radio features celebrity and professional interviews covering a wide range of topics. If you or someone you know is in need of assistance in dealing with addictive disorders, call us now at 877-830-830 or go to KLEANradio.com. Now your hosts for KLEAN Radio, Andrew and Judah.
Hey Judah, how's it going this week?
It's going.
It's going. It's been an interesting week for addiction and recovery news.
It's been a very, very interesting last 36 hours.
Yeah, we've had this Amy Winehouse overdose, and the curse of the rock star at 27.
Yeah, it's something we were discussing like a month ago, or because I always talk about being at Red Rock.
A few weeks ago, we kept talking about how everybody dies at 27 if you're a rocker.
And there are a few more, like Shannon Hoon. I believe he was 27.
Right, Kurt Cobain,
Morrison, Jimi Hendrix, and Janis Joplin.
Janis Joplin, all 27. Yeah, I guess maybe she should have gone to rehab. It's really unfortunate.
She shouldn't have said no.
Yeah.
Is that a little too early?
It's a little too early, yeah.
But you know what, the one thing I'm noticing is it's not the same. You know, when Heath Ledger died, there was this, like, day of mourning. And I've noticed it's almost like because it was so expected that people were like, oh, well.
Yeah, you know, it's strange. You're right. There isn't really, people are just sort of like they expect it to happen.
Right.
And then, what's funny is a lot of the people that were sort of justifying their own use and abuse of drugs kind of sort of now are like, oh, you know, it's giving people pause.
Right. Maybe you should say yes to rehab. But, you know. It's sad. I mean, but
it is sad. I mean, I hate to see that happen, and I know a lot of people were trying to help her, and you know, she had a lot of problems. She had multi-substance, polysubstance abuse. She had heroin addiction for a long time, and
emphysema. Right,
and supposedly she was taking ecstasy, which a lot of people try to take to stop doing heroin.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because it gives you a brief sort of like pause, because it's got a little bit of amphetamine quality to it. And it helps people get off heroin when they're self-detoxing.
Is that anything like with Ibogaine, like that we've been talking?
No, it's completely different. But it's just, you know, it's one of those things people do. And, of course, it can cause respiratory depressions and then also cardiac arrest, which is probably what we're going to find is what happened with Amy Winehouse.
But here's one of the things that I you know, and I brought this, we've talked, I know you're not the biggest of sports fans, but Ken Griffey was one of my favorite baseball players growing up. He was the kid. The guy hit 650 home runs, but he got old when he was supposed to get old. But he became a baseball player. You know, he was a baseball player at the wrong time when everybody was doing steroids, when everybody, you know, so all of a sudden he wasn't. It was like when he retired, it was like people were like, oh, what happened to Ken Griffey Jr.? You know, nothing to do with the fact that he turned 37 or 38.
Right.
And I think some of the things, you know, it's like we constantly talk about rock stars. And when they're like 50 going, what's happened to them? You know, like, why aren't they making hits every day?
Right.
As opposed to they just got older.
Yeah.
And it's sad because, you know, nobody ever says that about whether it's Amy Winehouse, whether it's the Kurt Cobains. You know, had they lived, they just would have been, you know.
Well, you know, there's the exceptions. I mean, I think people like look at the Rolling Stones and they're like,
right,
how did that anomaly occur? You know,
right.
How do you have Keith Richards that's still alive?
Right,
it's pretty impressive. I mean, you know, you don't have someone that abuses drugs for that length of period and that quantity.
Right, he's like the exception to the rule. Him and Jimmy Buffett.
Right, so people, like point to him and they're like, oh, you know, people can do this lifestyle their whole life, and the reality is that for most people that doesn't work.
Right, but we don't pay enough attention to the people that do it right. You know, and that's what I mean, like, in the sense, like some rock stars just fade.
Right.
You know, you get older, you know.
Well, it should be a transitory sort of career. I mean, as you get older, let's face it, you don't have the same sort of rock and roll angst that you do when you're, you know, 18 to 25.
Right. It was like Jay Leno said one night, he goes, everybody wants me to be gritty. He goes, everybody knows I'm rich, though.
Right.
It's hard to be gritty.
Well, even like Bruce Springsteen, how can he sing about like working man's problems when he's a multi-millionaire?
Right.
It's kind of hypocritical.
Right. So it's sad. We don't give them enough credit for, like, and that's my whole thing. It's like there's so many people out there that get sober or not even get sober, just live good lives. Mm-hmm. You know, and we focus so much on the people that have destroyed it.
Yeah.
Because whether that's the fun, you know, it's like I was watching.
Well, there is a rock and roll fantasy
right.
too. I mean, you know, what is it? Better to burn out than fade away.
Right.
Know? So,
which is a huge topic that we want to talk about always, which is, you know, life after you get sober.
Yeah.
You know, because I was watching the other day. Not the other day. I was watching 2 days ago. I decided to, like, watch VH1, Def Leppard's Behind the Music.
Right.
And
how to lose an arm.
How to lose an arm and lose a guitarist.
Right.
And one of the things, though, that I always hated at the end of Behind the Music, I wanted to know what happened after.
Right.
I was always so much more interested in how the next 20 years were after you got sober, as opposed to just the fall.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things we do like to talk about on the show is, the fun after you get sober.
Yeah, and there's so many people that do have careers beyond just, I think, being a rock star really is sort of a career that you should end in your 30s.
Yeah.
I don't really think that, otherwise you're just sort of delaying your adolescence into your 60s, I mean, Bono even, from U2 has found ways to sort of not just be a rock star, but, he's on the board of a huge,
right.
Monetary equity fund. He's doing all sorts of work for humanity. He's broadened his horizons. At least he's not just...
Right, nobody wants to see Bono drinking Guinness every night.
Right, yeah, exactly. And even Keith Richards has tried to at least become a movie star,
Right, and
failed miserably, but
And so that's one of the things. I think it's so important, though, to relay that message, because I don't think that message is relayed enough to youth, especially, is that but beyond the glitz, beyond the glamour, getting sober is actually a pretty fun thing.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think that it opens up new doors and lets people start over, and you can function. And the other thing is that you can't function using the way the way you did at 20 when you're 40.
It just looks bad.
For all you 20-year-olds out there listening that think that you're going to be able to get out of bed at 40 after drinking all night, forget it.
And have that recovery rate.
It doesn't work.
It doesn't work.
So we got a great show tonight.
Yeah, we do.
We have 2 guests tonight from a company called Connections in Recovery.
Yeah, good people.
Yep, it's Patty and Lauren, and we'll let them introduce themselves in more detail when they come in a few minutes.
Yeah.
And we have Lenny Wilson, who's a great comedian.
Very funny comic.
Who's been in recovery for a while.
If your name is Lenny, usually you're going to be funny. It's just one of those. It's a.
That's another Judaism.
Lenny Bruce.
Okay, that's one. Okay, name one more Lenny.
Lenny Shapiro from my area in Brooklyn. I'm joking.
That's just right. Now you're making up names. Right, of course.
But it goes well, Lenny Shapiro.
Right. Okay. So Judah.
And the number here is 877-8830-830. That's 877-8830-830. You're listening to KLEAN Radio. That's Clean with a K. You could also listen to us live at KLEANradio.com. We'll be back in a couple seconds with our guest tonight.
Suspect a loved one is abusing drugs? Call KLEAN Treatment Center at 888-601-6040 for a free drug test and consultation. A treatment advisor is available to help you administer the test and answer any questions you may have regarding treatment and more. We are here to help. Call us today at 888-601-6040 or find us online at cleantreatmentcenter.com for your free drug test and the start of a promising future. Addiction is any behavior you cannot stop that results in destructive consequences. Are you struggling with an addiction to drugs or alcohol? Are you ready to take control of your life? The treatment advisors at KLEAN Treatment Center are here to help. Call us today at 888-601-6040. That's 888-601-6040. You can also check us out at cleantreatmentcenter.com. That's clean with a K. The sooner you reach out for help, the sooner your new life begins.
Now back to KLEAN Radio
The Sober Lifestyle Show, presented by KLEAN Residential Treatment Center.
on Angels Radio AM 830.
All right, Judah, you and your dance. I don't know. Why do I put up with this? It's like...
Because you have to.
Because I have to.
I have
no
those
choice.
pictures.
All right.
The video.
Well, tonight we have 2 special guests from a company called Connections in Recovery.
Yes. Very special guests.
Should we let you introduce
It's like a special episode.
Am I introducing tonight?
You go for it. You're better with names.
Patty Baret. How are you, Patty?
I'm good. How are you?
Welcome to KLEAN Radio.
Thank you. It's
We're happy
great
to have
being
you
here.
here. And then also we have Lauren Arborio.
Arborio, hi.
Arborio. See, even phonetically, I can't get it.
I'm still working on it. It's my married name, but thank you so much for having us here.
A lot of vowels.
Yeah, well, and congratulations on being married.
Oh, well, I've been married for a while now, but...
Well, even congratulations on being married for a while.
Yeah, that's it.
That's the harder part.
That
right? Well, so you guys have a company, right?
Yeah, it's called Connections in Recovery.
Right.
And what we do is we help families and people that are struggling with addiction and helping them make the right choice. There's so many choices out there, and we just give them that personalized attention that Lauren and I are known for.
That's great, because there's so many people out there that really are just lost. You know, they start having a problem, or their family member starts having a problem, and they have no idea what to do.
It gets so overwhelming. Yeah. It's amazing, you know, where to start, where to begin, and you feel kind of like hopeless because, you know, you're watching somebody you love just kind of self-destruct, or, you know, the person is just like, you know, they want to stop, but they just don't know how to.
What's the typical kind of client you see? Is it alcohol mostly, or are you seeing?
Lately, it's been both. It's heroin, it's alcohol, it's pills, a lot of pills, and a lot of psychiatric issues come along. So we don't only help people with addictions, but as you know, with addictions, a lot, you know, there's all the psychiatric disorders come, bipolar, OCD, you know, mood disorders, you name it. And we deal with families. They're just suffering. They do not know where to send their child or their husband, their wife. They don't know what to do. They don't know where to send them. There are so many different places to get help, and they come to us for that knowledge.
That's great, yeah. So do you follow clients after treatment as well? Do you?
Oh, yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I mean, you know, we saw a case not too long ago, which was Cloud9. Have you heard of Cloud9?
No, what's Cloud9?
It's also known as bath salts.
Oh, right, yeah. I didn't know by that brand. I didn't spice.
It's like marijuana. They have so many different names.
Yeah.
This one of the names is Cloud9, bath salts, and there's
methadone, right? Isn't that the actual drug?
Meth, and there's some cocaine in it, and it's sold legally here in the United States. I know in Australia and Europe it's banned. It's not banned here yet. Hopefully it will be.
Right. We actually did ban one form of it, and then they changed up the chemical composition a little bit and started repackaging it. So we've seen a little bit of it.
Are people doing bath salts?
Yeah, not that much though. Just a couple kids, you know. Seems to be a younger generation. We did have a thing on the show last week that it's really popular in the EU, like especially in Britain, and that a lot of the club kids are choosing to use it even though it's illegal. It's already become illegal, and now they're importing it illegally because they seem to like it so much. And which is weird because obviously I've never used it, but the initial reports were that it was just very heavy hallucinogen, and why would you want to take it versus like ecstasy? That seems like, you know, it would be more fun. I do remember ecstasy.
You know, I got sober right when it started becoming really popular, so I only got to do it a couple times.
Right, but I never got to do Quaaludes, so it's it's a wash.
That's what Judah feels upset about.
Right, I do.
Yeah. Judah's constant lament is his lack of using Quaaludes.
Because everybody used to say it was like getting drunk without having to get drunk.
2 Quaaludes and 1 shot of alcohol would put you in a respiratory depression. That's how dangerous Quaaludes were.
Hells yeah. Hells yeah. But, you know, but again, it just goes to show you there's always going to be something else out there.
There is.
Oh, yeah.
And we're coming across something called crocodile.
That's new. I've never heard of that.
It's an epidemic in Russia, and it's a form of heroin that you
synthetic.
It's synthetic, and you smoke it, and it just makes your skin just completely just look like a crocodile. And it's crocodile with a K. So all these new drugs.
That's not going to work in L.A.
No, I know, because everyone wants to look good.
Yeah, no, exactly.
Louisiana maybe. L.A.
You know what? We're getting just a lot of acute cases, which is great that we're able to go in and do that crisis intervention and really help these families. It's been amazing because these cases have been really intense. And I think just because Lauren and I have been in recovery and we've seen so many different psychological profiles that we can come in and just help them and make everybody feel safe and not judge and, you know, get into...
Well, that's the thing. It's like a lot of people have talked to me about, you know, they're going to come up with a cure for a vaccine for cocaine, or, you know, a new drug that will be an opiate blocker and nobody will be able to be addicted to opiates and it will stop cravings. And the reality is so many different drugs keep coming along that the central problem's always going to be there. and people have polysubstance abuses, so they'll shift from, if we somehow found a cure for alcoholism and we found a cure for, the abuse of narcotics, then they're going to go to amphetamines, or they're going to go to spice, or what was this one you said the label?
Cloud 9.
Cloud 9, right?
Yeah.
Or crocodile, whatever this latest.
Well, it was even the name in the 60s. You constantly hear the old timers talking about the acid they did, like Black Betty or whatever it was. They had these
that was speed, Black Betty,
or you know what I mean,
right?
But the acid always had names.
The old school.
But the acid had names. It was like you're going to be away for a while.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's always something new. I mean, so...
Right, so what is the process of really treating people? It's this multifold and multidimensional levels of care, right? It's a long continuum of care, from first intervention to residential treatment, or at least detox, then residential treatment or outpatient, and then some sort of aftercare.
Yes, definitely an outpatient and aftercare. And we usually, if they're based here in LA, Patty and I will go to that house and we will sit with the family, and we'll come up with a plan. We'll do a thorough screening of the person that is addicted. It's based on what is best for them, and we will come up with a plan, and we will all as a group decide where the person should go, what they need.
And there's also an intuition, being sober for 25 years and being just so involved in so many interventions and just working with so many, just to kind of also have an awareness of, because everybody's different, every situation is different, and just making sure that that's the right fit for them.
So are your interventions like we see on TV?
I just actually had one that was.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Which show was that, for intervention or?
No. But then it's just it's just intense.
I mean, it was just intense.
It gets intense.
Some people are willing. They want to get clean. They want to get sober. They just don't know where to go. They don't know what's.
I think that's
sometimes it's the family. You know what I mean? The family wants the person. And so what we're really good at is creating that shift. Like, we walk in, maybe that person had no intention of getting clean and sober, but the family's just like so scared for their lives. And we come in and we create that shift that leads them to be open to the possibility of getting recovery. And that's where we've had a lot of success rate. We've really have had huge success rate in creating shifts.
Right. And sometimes it takes a day, sometimes it takes a week for them to be like, okay, let's I want to do it. I want to do it.
Because there's also that trust factor.
Yeah, the majority of people that actually call our treatment center are either family members or, believe it or not, employers.
Yeah.
Or friends. So we very rarely get the actual person that's got the problem calling is the primary caller.
And I like your facility.
Oh, well,
there's no, you feel safe there. You feel protected. Like the atmosphere there is a really good one.
I like to call it the secret garden.
Really?
Because like you're in the middle of like walking through the hustle and bustle of of Hollywood. Then all of a sudden you open the doors and you're like in this like Mr. Miyagi's house.
I know. Actually, Lauren and I are going to check in. We'd like to have like a little week reprieve at your location.
I would like a week reprieve.
I was thinking about moving in before I found my apartment.
I think we've already picked out our bungalow.
Yeah, the bungalows are cool.
Yeah.
I like the ones in the back.
Plus, you could have your dogs, which is
very important. Like I, as a pet owner myself, it's important. You want to have your baby with you.
Yeah.
So I don't have a pet right now, so I'm okay with that.
You have me, Judah.
Yeah.
So Lauren, how did you get in this field?
I got into this field a little over 5 years ago. I had a baby, and I was ready to go back to work, and someone told me of an addiction psychiatrist that was looking for a part-time person to help him out in his office with the patients, doing basic office work, but also doing some counseling work. And it sounded like, okay, I'm sober. This sounds interesting. So I started to work for this psychiatrist, and it just felt so right. I loved when the patients came in and I was able to sit with them and talk with them. It just seemed so natural. And just from there, I started meeting people from all different treatment centers and started, did a little bit of counseling. And really the ones I identified most were the moms. Since I became a mom, it's the moms and the dads that come in and they are just so distraught over what is going on with their child. And where I think have been the biggest help is just sitting down with them and just making them feel comfortable, saying they're not alone, they did nothing wrong, and just being able to guide them through the process and just give them some hope. So that's been what I've enjoyed most about working. After I've worked for one psychiatrist, and I started working for another one, and I'm just about ending my school at UCLA for getting certified in addiction, drug and alcohol counseling, and I'm on my last course, yes. Finishing up my internship, still working for an amazing addiction psychiatrist who is been a delight to work with. And about a little over a year ago, I had this idea of I want to help place people in treatment centers, or just give them some advice and help them with the whole process from beginning to end. And I had this great idea. It was. I was
going to say, can you hold that thought? Because we're having
Sure.
a few technical online difficulties, but we're going to be back in 2 minutes.
We're take a break?
We're going to take a break.
Okay.
And you're listening to KLEAN Radio. That's KLEAN with a K. And the number here is 877-8830-830. That's 877-8830-830. We'll be back in a sec.
Welcome back to KLEAN Radio. For those that were missing us on the internet, hopefully you're getting our feed now. There's going to be some sort of technical glitch in the world of the internet. It's so strange. We're on the radio and we have to worry about the internet still.
It is a very odd thing.
Right? In fact, you actually sent me an interesting text today about internet addiction versus regular addictions. I had no idea what you're talking about, but
I posted it on our KLEAN
Facebook page?
our KLEAN Facebook page, and
Right.
Well, it's something because I read, that story I read a long time ago about in Japan, where it's a huge issue they're having.
Right. All these young men who
Yeah.
are just sitting in their rooms for months at a time.
Yeah.
Have no life.
Yeah.
Except for being on the internet.
Like one of our callers. We have a caller that sits at home a lot and listens to the radio. And we love him. We're taking him to an Angel game. But we're back in the studio with Patty. How do you pronounce your last name? Is it Baret or Baret?
Baret. Patty Baret.
Patty Baret. That's what I thought.
But most people kind of know me as Patty B.
Patty B?
Patty B.
Yeah.
Patty B's in the house. We're in the house tonight with Patty B and Lauren A.
That's right.
A lot of vowels in your
LA
names.
from NW, NY, NYC.
And who own a great company called
Connections in Recovery.
Connections in Recovery. It's actually a really good name.
Oh, well, it kind of says it all. But you can find us at www.connectionsinrecovery.com, and that's where you can learn a little bit more about the work that Lauren and I do.
I do believe you're right, though. It's extremely important that people have a facilitator as far as people getting into rehab and getting help. Because who do you trust? How many rehabs are actually going to be honest with people and say...
Well, that's a weird thing.
Exactly.
I mean, you see, there's, 50 rehabs in L.A.?
Yes.
Right? So you've probably toured most of them, right?
Yeah.
Yes, we try to tour most of them, meet with the clinical team, get to know the techs, just get to know, how it operates, and, based on that. And
not, some are dual diagnosed, and some are just, alcoholics. Some are eating disorders.
Right.
And we also provide sober companions and recovery workers.
Oh, that's
which
good.
sometimes also, they need kind of transitioning in. Even in the facility that we bring them into, just sometimes you just need that person just to help you get comfortable, get safe.
Yeah, we use all these people. I mean, obviously, we know you guys, but we also use other interventionists, and we have a lot of people that follow people on tour if they're bands,
Right.
or, and work with us and in connection with us. So, and I think that's the key. I think that the walls of what constitutes, rehab are changing, and that you have to be flexible along this long, as we say, continuum of care. So you have to be able to have outpatient treatment and sober companionship, and then maybe go into rehab, and then maybe come out and then go back in if you need to. And so, and I think all of us are sober here. So, I think the experience of, relapsing and coming back is not alien, I think, to most people.
No.
Well, do you find that with a lot of the people you deal with? It's like you probably get a lot of calls from parents or, family members going, I've gone through this before.
Yeah.
Like that it's not the, it's hard probably dealing with people that have gone through it before. because why should I invest this time?
Exactly.
Well, it just really depends where that person is, first and foremost. So it's like seeing when you do actually meet the actual person that's in need, you know, assessing where they're at. And if it's something that they want or it's something that the family really wants more than they do.
If you guys had been able to say something to Amy Winehouse, what would you have said?
That's a good question.
Should have gone to rehab.
She said yes, 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 right?
Oh, that's sad. It's
I don't.
sad.
Yeah, I don't know if she ever just really wanted it. I don't know. I'm at loss of words for that. She just was on her own path, and it didn't seem like anyone can get through to her. And I don't know who she had around her. I don't know exactly what was going on in her head, but.
Yeah, I mean, what surprised me is when she did that show, I forgot what country she was performing at, and she couldn't really
function.
She was stumbling on
function. She was
stage.
stumbling,
Yeah.
and she was incoherent. Like, who goes out there and push her? Like, okay, go, Amy. Like, go do your show now.
It was the same management as Boy George, I think.
Well, it's the same management as almost everybody else, that all their whole goal is let's just get them out on stage.
Make some money.
Exactly.
Right. It's like no different with actors that are going through a rough time on the set. They don't really care. They just want them to make sure they could hit their mark.
And Charlie Sheen's the obvious example right now, right?
Yeah.
So.
I mean, I can't believe they're
Are you
signing.
guys gonna have the goddesses on pretty soon?
Yeah.
Not till they get sober.
Aren't there no more goddesses? Haven't they all left?
Judah's like wishful thinking. I see a big smile on his face.
And Judah's like, I can't have goddesses and Judah in the same room.
Yeah, haven't they all left the studio?
You know, I love Judah. I've known Judah forever.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah.
No, listen, I'm a survivor. I have my T-shirt in the car.
Andrew doesn't believe that ladies.
survivor of
Andrew
Ladies
doesn't
love Judah.
You see?
This is what
Ladies love Judah.
He's a nice Jewish boy.
I didn't even have to say it.
We've been debating this for a while because we don't really. Judah claims to have a girlfriend now, and
Really?
yeah.
Ooh.
see, everybody
Just
says
as she
really.
texts me that our internet is up.
Oh, she did.
Okay.
Yeah, that's how I found out that the internet was a little down. Was through.
See, we
this.
just had to talk about her, and then
Yes.
things magically appear.
You know.
So
you
you've been
guys.
domesticated.
Domesticated.
This is what happens when you stay sober a long time.
That's right.
Miracles do happen.
Right?
Yes.
Who would have thought that Judah could possibly have a girlfriend?
Who would have thunk it?
Right?
Not my mother. No. You know, but yeah, you know, it's also something fun to talk about is that, you know, we're obviously all in the studio. I've known Patty for 8 years. I just met you. But every single person in this room has an amazing story after they got sober.
Right.
You know, you're sitting with people in here that aren't the boring people that have actually, you know, gone back to school. I know, Patty's guest who brought her down here is.
Yeah, we brought Sarah, who is like an integral part of
and who's a
Connections
doctor.
in Recovery.
Yeah, who's an actual doctor, I believe, and
Close.
close.
and
She's a doc.
I can
Sarah's
put her
our
in
head
any
counselor.
situation, and she and I have seen it all, and
Yeah,
she
we-
stays calm and focused, and
We-
she's amazing. She's
We gave-
amazing.
We gave Sarah some fun jobs. She loves us for them.
I call it ground zero.
Everybody needs a sacrificial lamb, right?
Yeah, I'm yours.
No, I
Yeah,
like,
you are mine.
Andrew, I actually really prefer the really hard, difficult, challenging cases. My heart goes out. I have so much compassion
Right.
that I really, I'm fine when it's really complicated.
It's
There-
true.
there's
Nobody wants
something-
that person when they come in that says, "I want to be sober." What's the
Right.
fun in that? Let's get the person that says, "I don't want this. I want to fight every day."
Well, as people that are in recovery ourselves, I mean, we are sort of drawn into. I mean, truthfully, for me, I mean, I've been working in this field for 20 years, either in psychiatric work or in substance abuse, and so there really isn't much I haven't seen. It's
Right.
rare to get sort of like a unique new case. So the outlier cases where you think, you know, something interesting and new.
Well, we keep getting cases
We
where
keep
professionals go, "Oh my God, this is like one of the most acute cases we've ever seen."
Right.
And
we
I'm
just
like, and they're
can't get
looking
worse
at
than
me
this.
like I was in a doctor's office the other day, and the patient walked out to go to the bathroom, and the doctor looked at me and said, "I bet you need a break." I'm like, no,
Yeah.
no, you know.
You know, those are the
But-
cases we've been getting. We're just like, this is the hardest one. It's not going to get worse. And then the next week we get something, we're like, oh my God.
Well, it's great. I mean, that's a compliment, though, to you guys,
Yeah.
too, you know, because it's easy. Like I said, it's easy to deal with the people that want to go.
Straightforward
Right.
cases.
And it's really hard. I mean, I was on the phone with somebody yesterday that's going through an extremely tough time, and it's something we're going to talk about, which is they asked, are there any treatment facilities out there for steroids? And there aren't. I mean, that actually just deal with steroids. And we were on the phone for about an hour yesterday, and she was talking about her son dropped a 500-pound weight on himself and tore everything in his arm and stuff. And I wish there was some sort of like easy answer, but there isn't, because we're not even sure about the addictiveness of steroids. We know it's addictive, but as far as the...
Right. Well, it's in some ways it's a process addiction as much
Right.
as it is an actual substance abuse problem.
And it's his main addiction.
Right.
By the way, the number here is 877-8830-830. That's 877-8830-830. We'd like to welcome back our internet listeners. We were down for a few seconds. And should we go to break, or should we take a call?
We actually have a phone call.
Okay.
Why don't we take the phone call? We got Eric from Sherman Oaks. Eric, you're on Clean Radio.
From my hood.
Hi, Eric.
Hi, Eric.
Hi.
Hey there.
Hey, I wanted to see, what makes you guys different than these other companies out there trying to get some help people.
Well, I think what we can say is we give them very personalized attention. So we really spend quality time with the client and really do the best we can possibly do for them. And we are totally dedicated to helping people. That's what drives us. We're driven to help people that are dealing with addiction and with mental health, and we really have a strong drive to help those. So I think that's.
I think a lot of people think that they pick up the phone and they call for help, and it takes like 10 minutes, and then people come in.
Yeah.
I don't think most people realize the work that goes in the front end before
There's
people
a lot of
get
work
help.
before you go into treatment, and that's the key. And
While they're in it, and while they're after, which is
Right.
what I love about Eric, which is what's amazing about their facility, is that they deal with the front, the back, or the front, the middle, the end. If that
Exactly.
made any sense,
And
but-
we don't only refer to treatment centers, we also refer to psychiatrists. Whatever your issues are, a specialist. And we over the years, I've developed relationships with all different types of doctors, all different types of psychiatrists, everything. We bring them all in, and we work as a team with the treatment center, with all parties involved, and that's where our case, hopefully that's where our case management services come in. And so it's not only the treatment center we're referring, it's all different groups of people, and you need help, someone will be there at your house. If you're in LA, or if you need us to fly anywhere in the world, we can have someone from our team go to you, get on the plane, get in the car, and go to you and sit with you and start the process. And I think that's one way we are different as well. And we make ourselves completely available almost 24/7. Now I really don't sleep. I advocate, and I didn't sleep before. Now I really don't sleep. and so I think that's where we differ as well. We try to be really fair and get them into the right place.
Did that answer your question, Eric?
Yes, and I had another question. If I was to need you guys in the near future, how would I be able to contact you guys?
Well, we have two numbers you can call. You have 310-901-4835.
It's for a good time.
And you'll get me directly, or you could call Lauren.
You can call me at 310-488-6196, and there's also our website, www.connectionsinrecovery.com.
Okay, sorry. What's the 310 number again?
310-901-4835.
And we're also going to put up a link on Clean Radio and our Facebook page. So.
Oh, that would be great.
Thank you guys so much.
Thank you, Eric.
Thank you, Eric.
Let's go right into another call. We got Marty from Riverside.
Hi, Marty.
Hey,
Hi,
Marty.
Marty.
Are you there? You're on Clean Radio. Oh, it's Mary? I'm sorry.
He's really bad with names.
Mary, Marty.
That's part of his drinking story.
I'm not very selective, It's like
Andrew accidentally, it was part of his drinking story.
Right,
he went to bed one night with a Mary and woke up with a Marty.
No, it was a Marty that ended up with a Mary.
Wasn't that last night?
But that's the blackmail I have on him.
If
Sorry,
you met
Mary.
my wife, she'll break your neck.
Oh, she will. She's beautiful doing it.
She is beautiful.
Yeah, right. She'll be beautiful while she does it right.
How are you, Mary?
I'm fine. How are you tonight?
Pretty good.
Well, I wanted to call in to just express I have experience as a mother of a young woman who has worked with Patty for over 3 years now, And I wanted to share with anyone that's out there listening that feels maybe there isn't any hope, that believe me, if you talk to Patty or have your loved one who has a problem with addiction, if you can connect them with Patty and her partner. I don't know her partner, unfortunately. I'm sure she's a wonderful young lady as well. But
she is.
Lauren.
Patty has, my daughter struggled for several years trying to achieve sobriety and fighting it all the way. Wanting it and fighting it all at the same time.
How old was your daughter when she started having problems with addiction?
Well, I understand most of her teenage years, even though she lived with me and I didn't know it.
That's very common, actually. Yeah.
Especially in the teenage years, people don't talk about that enough because you're trying to, as a parent, you're probably, well, that's normal. Right?
I thought she was my wild child.
Right, wild, moody.
And then one day, I'll just share a funny story. Like, I came home one morning at 9 o'clock in the morning, and my parents go to me, we told you to be home at 9, and I said, you didn't say nothing. You didn't say PM or AM.
No.
And
he's been in timeout ever since.
Yeah. But it's true. It's a very hard thing with teenagers because so much of you wants to say it's just par for the course.
Oh,
it's
sure.
just the phase they're going through.
And it's easier to be in denial.
Right. It's a lot easier.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't even realize till she was in her late 20s that she had a serious problem. I mean, that's how long I was living like in this with blinders on, I guess, or something. I had no awareness. I had no understanding. And Katie, my daughter tried for a long time and went through many different programs and different sponsors. And when Patty came into my daughter's life, it just the windows were open, her eyes were open. She has reached a point of over 3 years now of sobriety, and she has grown into such a wonderful young woman.
That's really good.
And it was always there. It just couldn't come out, and it's through the guidance, I have to say, truly.
One of the things that we actually have just been learning is that the average amount of time prior to someone actually calling for help is around 7 years. So it's not uncommon for parents not to notice with their own child, or even someone in the family. Uncle Ben drinks, but so what? And then all of a sudden it builds up to more and more and more of crisis, and then someone like Patty or we get a call. And it's that, we're getting a call after 7 years of sort of something building up, and it's this crisis moment. And I think, it's a testament to Patty's work, obviously, with your daughter, that she can handle that kind of long-term building crisis.
And she's always there for her. She's there for her with the most wonderful sound advice, and she doesn't dictate to her or tell her what to do. She shares with her and listens to her and advises her and helps her make her own decisions in a way nobody's ever done before.
I have to agree with you because I've known Patty for about 8 years, and when I first moved out to LA, it's a very hard when you just moved to LA. To anybody out there that's thinking about it, it is hard. It is a very hard city to move to, and Patty was one of the first people I met. And I hate roasting people in front of them. But Patty made me feel so comfortable. Like, I would go to this meeting every Friday night. And that's not easy. I know. To make me feel comfortable is nearly impossible. So, I know she's involved with Lauren, so I have to trust her, and say, if Patty trusts her, then I trust her. And you seem like a really nice lady, Sarah. I got the name right.
Yeah.
And so I really have to. I've seen Patty work with women, and just girls that a lot of times I'm sure people have said a little kooky.
Yeah.
And Patty has just.
They've been challenged.
Yeah, and Patty has just said, "I love your kookiness, and we're going to be okay with that." But then that's enough roasting of Patty tonight.
So just for any parents that are listening, you're halfway there, and if you're listening tonight, don't give up, because there's always hope.
And for parents that are out there that maybe have even gone through the beginning stages of treatment with their children, and it seems difficult, is there, what does it look like on the other side? Obviously, your daughter's doing well.
Oh, the change from being a child in her late 20s and early 30s to a grown woman today, and it's just been little over 3 years that she's been working with Patty. The change is phenomenal. The strength she's gained and the confidence that she's gained in herself, and knowing that, the answer is no longer, if things are tough, I need a drink. That's just not there, and that's just not an option anymore. It's a gift, a wonderful gift, and I will always be grateful to Patty for what she's done for my daughter.
Let me ask you a question, Mary. Because my father used to always say to people, as long as his son was alive, he wasn't going to give up. What kept you through those rough years when your daughter wasn't getting sober? To parents out there that are listening that are like, I just want to give up.
Oh, there were times when I felt not that I wanted to give up, but that maybe my daughter wanted to give up, and I didn't know if I'd be able to live with that. And I think for me personally, it was prayer and faith and hope, just constant hope that I would never give up hope, that there has to be a way. There has to be a way, because I can't live without her.
We're talking Amy Winehouse. I was going to say to death, but that sounds horrible, right? But she's such an example of where people can die from this, and people sort of joke about it, and they're like, yeah, and you meet, the average. I remember being in my 20s, and nobody ever thought they were going to die, and then you have a couple friends that die, and you're like, well, maybe this really is real, know.
But it's not me.
Sure. I mean, there were times in the deepest, darkest hours of my thoughts that I was planning my own daughter's funeral in my head.
Right.
And somebody said to me once, you can't do that. I said, I'm sorry, it's there. I know it's a reality, as a possibility, and I just don't know how I'm going to deal with it. And I just am so grateful that I don't have to deal with it.
Well, I'm so glad you have all that hope now, and things are going so well. Yeah. Thank you so much for calling, Mary. We really appreciate it.
Thank you, Mary.
Yeah. Thank you. Bye.
Have a good night.
Bye.
We got calls stacking up. I don't know. Patty and Lauren are like very popular.
I know,
Patty's the new Oprah, by the way.
Is she the new Oprah?
Yeah.
She's the new O.
She's the new O.
She's the P.
Yeah, she's the
P. Yeah.
She's the
P is that's not.
She's
so
the
good.
Moroccan P.
The Moroccan French P.
I just love people, and I love helping people.
No, but you really do.
I know, I really, really do.
Yeah, she really does, and it's like, and one of the things, again, I don't want to roast you, but you don't pick who you help. A lot of times people do. It's easy to pick the people you want to help. But Patty will basically take anybody.
Right, if you're not cool and good looking, and you're going to fit into your scene, I'm not going to help you.
Right, Patty's got no scene. The scene is like, I need help.
Right.
And Patty's like, okay, and that's like, I think, the truest testament to somebody that offers help, because is
the genuineness
because it's easy to sponsor people, or it's easy to be in business with people that you want to be in business with.
Yeah.
Right.
The hardest thing is like the person that you're like, oh God, I got to take this phone call again.
Right.
And Patty doesn't mind. And so no more roast. That's it.
Lauren's
Patty
the same
doesn't
way,
mind, so I give her a lot of the calls.
And by the way, the number here, which since the calls are lighting up, I guess I'm giving it out correctly.
Yeah, finally.
It's 877-8830-830. That's 877-8830-830. And are we going to take another call?
We got another call coming in.
Okay.
So let's take another call. And it's Andy from Brentwood.
Brentwood.
Andy's in the house.
You're on Clean Radio. How are you doing?
I'm well, thank you. I'm actually the president of the Brentwood chapter of the Patty Fan Club.
Right Andy!
I wanted to follow. What's up, Patty?
How are you, sweetie? It's so good to hear your voice.
Unbelievable. I'll tell you. I have to tell you that Patty has saved me worlds of pain, because when I've been sober a little over 14 years now, and I used to marry the newcomers, and now I turn them over to Patty.
It's cheaper that way. You get to hold on to more of your stuff.
Yeah.
But you are not kidding. I have to echo what everybody says. It's, Patty's fantastic, and she even takes my calls socially, which is amazing. So,
and Facebook.
What's that?
And the Facebook.
So Andy, you're sober yourself?
Pardon?
You're sober yourself?
I'm sober myself. I wanted to. I'm 14 and a half years, and I wanted to.
Congratulations! That's great.
Echo from somebody whose parents saved their lives by. If the parents are listening, and my parents at 30 years old said, "Live or die, it's up to you. We're not bailing you out anymore." And and I thought that was unreasonable, because I'd only been out of high school for 12 years. But it absolutely saved my life. And being a father now, I have a 4-year-old little boy that that I raised by myself, that lives with me full time. And God willing, his mom's going to get it, and she is sober, so stay sober. But I understand how hard that is, to just take a step back and give somebody the dignity to make their own mistakes, and trust that there is there's something out there outside of yourself or something more powerful than you are that takes care of all of us.
You know what's really cool, Andy, what Andy was talking about too, is the clarity we get after we get sober. Because it's like when your parents cut you off at a certain point, you're not like when they do it, you're not like, oh, thank God, I really needed that. You know, it's only a few years later that when you're sober a little bit, that you go, wow, that was a blessing. Right?
Yeah, it totally is. I just have to echo what's said about Patty. I mean, she helped. Because I've learned now, I go into meetings, and if somebody's like, oh, I have 60 days, I have 90 days, whatever, I'm like, do you have a sponsor if it's female, or are you hooked up with some girls in the program? Oh, no, well, do you know Patty? And half of them say yes, and the half that say no, I'm just fishing out Patty's numbers. So it's, I mean, there's people like that. There's a handful of women like that in the program that I know that, you know, that just really, that are really show up, and that's, you know, that's where the rewards come from. I know that for myself too. My life seems very small and very insignificant when I have 10 or 15 other people I'm helping with their problems. So keep up the good work, Patty.
Thank you, Andy, for all the love.
Thank you.
You're a very good man yourself. I've seen a lot of beautiful things that you've done, and thank you.
Thank you. I love you, Patty.
I love you too.
Have a good night,
Andy.
Oh, Patty, you are a popular woman. People just we're just booked with calls tonight.
We have our regular caller.
Oh, here's our. We have
is this
to
the one
take
you're
him.
taking to the Angels game?
Yes, this is,
we should just take him, right?
Yeah, we got to take Sonny.
All right, Sonny, you're on the air, Sonny.
Hi, Sonny.
Did we lose him? Sonny, it's your shot. He's been on hold so long, I guess.
Okay, Sonny, call back. We'll talk to you in a few.
I feel bad now.
No, he's going to call
Sonny.
back. And
I don't know.
I mean, the phone lights are just.
We did have him online for like quite a while. So
call back, Sonny.
Yeah, I think he's calling back right now. He's on. Okay.
He's on. How you doing, Sonny?
Let's put him on. Hey, Sonny, how you doing?
Hi, Sonny.
Hello, ladies. Andrew and Judah. How you guys doing?
Good. How are you?
Our regular caller.
Yeah, Sonny. You know I got nothing. You know I got nothing but love for you, Sonny.
Okay, that's true right there, man. You know, we gotta stop talking on the phone here. We gotta meet each other face to face.
As we're gonna go purposely, we're gonna meet at a courthouse, and on the other side of the metal detector, Sonny. And after that meeting goes okay, you and I could go to a ball game.
Well, I have to ask you guys first of all, how's the weather over there in California?
That's great. Perfect.
Awesome, man. Yeah, I'm not in California right now. I'm in Cleveland, but other than that, though, I am calling you guys.
Unbelievable. Sonny's calling us from Cleveland.
Sonny, what are you doing in Cleveland?
My summer vacation's almost up, so my parents got me some tickets, and we flew over here to Cleveland 2 days ago to see the Indians and the Angels game.
Oh, right on. That's great.
Cool. And so, you're actually calling in from your vacation. You're the most dedicated fan we've ever had, Sonny. Sorry to tell you.
That's not going to stop me, guys. To stop me from calling you guys. No way. I'm listening to you guys on the internet. So,
that's great.
I have a question.
Okay, let's hear your question tonight, Sonny.
Is that what substance, what tobacco would be more powerful? Weed, smoking weed, or cigarettes?
Well, weed's not tobacco.
Right. What smokable plant, I guess you could say. Yeah,
but what's more addictive? It's actually a very good question.
Yeah, well, nicotine is one of the most addictive substances, and it kills more people than marijuana, but more people use tobacco than use marijuana.
But now we're finding out that marijuana is extrememely dangerous,
and it's become 12 times as powerful as it was in the 60s, so it's causing a lot of secondary psychiatric side effects that it didn't used to cause, or didn't cause in great quantities. So, you know, both are bad for you. I don't recommend using either.
Especially you.
And especially Sonny, right? But you know, certainly, I think the thing that people think is that, you know, marijuana. The thing we hear all the time is marijuana is a natural drug, and therefore it should be okay for you. And then we found that just isn't true. And the truth of the matter, it's been selectively bred to the point now where it's an actually very powerful drug with hallucinogenic qualities as well as stimulant qualities, and other qualities as well. It's actually not an easy to classify drug. It used to be sort of just a mild hallucinogen, but now there's strains coming out that have all sorts of different side effects. And
can I say something there,
Sure.
First of all, I always thought smoking weed was just something for you to get high.
Well, that is one of the purposes. I mean, you could argue that now there's medicinal marijuana, and that's how the big loophole has happened in California and some other states. And, you know, there are some curative properties, not curative properties, but beneficial
that are
properties.
still debatable, that are still extremely...
Well, I don't think... I mean, I've seen people that have had cancer, and they've lost their appetite, and they're suffering from wasting, and they would smoke marijuana, and they would regain their appetite.
But don't you think that... Isn't that an advert? Isn't that, I can't think of the name of that, but they're getting the munchies.
Yeah.
Right.
So it's help eases some of the side effects.
So
of
one of the
chemotherapy.
side effects of marijuana is the side effect that's actually helping them. It's not the getting high thing that's helping them.
Right. The being high part isn't good, but the part that stimulates your appetite, which is part of being high, right? Is one of the side effects, right?
So the same thing with alcohol. Alcohol, correct?
Alcohol actually does
because you said it ruins your appetite.
It ruins your appetite?
No, it gives you a better appetite, marijuana.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
yes.
We're telling Sonny things he shouldn't know. We're corrupting him.
Hey, I'm learning something every day, guys.
All right, Sonny. Well,
Sonny,
thanks
Cleveland
for
rocks.
Cleveland.
Thanks again for calling.
Have a good vacation, Sonny.
Right?
Thank you. And hey, Judah, you want me to bring you back a souvenir, buddy?
Yes, I do, actually. Can you bring me back a Cleveland Indians hat?
Cleveland Indy, I'll get you a jersey. Which one?
No, not a jersey. Not a jersey, a hat.
Right, you guys aren't in a relationship.
And again, I want it. We'll meet at the Rancho Cucamonga courthouse.
On the other side of
the other side of the metal detector.
You guys have a good night, and I'm going to keep on listening.
Keep
All
on.
right, Sonny.
Okay, Sonny. I'll talk to you later.
Gotta love Sonny, right? Yeah. I mean, it calls us every week.
And he actually
He's
has...
not a quitter.
No,
He's
and
not a quitter,
he has
right.
good questions.
Calls us from Cleveland.
Yeah, from Cleveland.
You know,
That's love.
Yeah.
Well, I think
He's committed.
Yeah.
my wife wouldn't give us that much respect.
I don't know anybody. My parents go to sleep. Oh, so do your parents.
Yeah, well, they're on the East Coast, so.
Well, so is Sonny right now.
Oh, well, that's true.
Oh.
Yeah.
And
He's younger.
And it's only 10 o'clock at night.
Can we have your wife call in?
We should. Yeah.
God knows I love
I
that
think
woman.
She's doing a show right now, though. So. Yeah, she's been really busy. So, she's doing like 6 shows a night, or I mean, a week. So.
Good for her. She is funny.
Yeah.
She is one funny comedian.
She's pretty funny.
And
I don't know. Like you're married to her, so maybe it's not so much fun.
You know, I get a lot of her, so you know.
No, she is. She's Amy Dresner's Andrew's wife. She is hysterical. And another point of somebody that I've known for a long time that I've seen get better.
That is a miracle right there.
Nobody would have thought Amy.
Nobody would have thought, but you know, the care and the love of many organizations have, you know,
my full-time therapeutic work.
Right, have taken, and that's the cool thing that I think we all get to see. And what I love about, you know, what you guys do and what we do at KLEAN is that we get to see this whole process.
Yeah.
You know, it's like you get to see the baby born and then the baby start growing up. And
look, we're going out at the top of the hour here. We got a guest coming in for the second hour, along with Patty and Lauren staying with us.
Yes,
but,
we're going to have a phone call to guest at about 9:30.
Yeah, we have a phone call with the guest coming in. So we got a lot coming on tonight. Lenny Wilson is our comedian tonight. He's sober and
very funny guy.
Very funny guy, and he can probably share some of the wisdom that like Amy does from a more humorous standpoint. But we're looking forward to him coming in the studio. So
the number here is 877-8830-830. That's 877-8830-830. You listen to KLEAN Radio. That's KLEAN with a K.
Yeah, and check out our Facebook page.
Oh.
Do you suspect a loved one is abusing drugs? Call KLEAN Treatment Center at 888-601-6040 for a free drug test and consultation. A treatment advisor is available to help you administer the test and answer any questions you may have regarding treatment and more. We are here to help. Call us today at 888-601-6040 or find us online at cleantreatmentcenter.com for your free drug test and the start of a promising future. Addiction is any behavior you cannot stop that results in destructive consequences. Are you struggling with an addiction to drugs or alcohol? Are you ready to take control of your life? The treatment advisors at KLEAN Treatment Center are here to help. Call us today at 888-601-6040. That's 888-601-6040. You can also check us out at cleantreatmentcenter.com. That's clean with a K. The sooner you reach out for help, the sooner your new life begins.
Now your hosts for KLEAN Radio, Andrew and Judah.
Oh my goodness, the Judah dance. Welcome back to Clean Radio. This is our second hour.
Yes.
On this fine Sunday evening.
Mm-hmm.
And we've got a bunch of guests in the studio.
Yes, we do.
We have Lauren and Patty from Connections in Recovery.
Yes.
What up?
Joining us for the second hour still. And now we've got Larry Wilson. And
Lenny.
Jesus.
You would have thought you would have remembered that after I said all Lennys are funny.
Right?
I've been in one week called Larry and Lionel. So
Lionel? Where would Lionel
I have
the
no
train
idea.
set.
Anything with an L.
Anything with an L? Well, I apologize for that, Lenny.
Lenny, can I ask you a question? Have you ever met an unfunny Lenny?
I've only met 3 of them, and they're all pretty funny.
Yeah. It's just one of those names, Lenny and Squiggy. Lenny Bruce.
And
Lenny.
You know, Buddy Hackett's real name was Lenny.
Lenny Goldstein.
And he said he didn't want to sound like a gay waiter, so he changed it to Buddy.
But that's my favorite.
I don't think that's any better, right?
But it was Leonard. It was Leonard.
Oh, it was Leonard, right.
Well, it's like Albert Brooks, right? Originally was Albert Einstein.
Is that true?
Yeah.
How do you know these things?
It's called I read.
Like the yeah, but the useful knowledge you seem to be devoid of.
It's because there's only so much room in the brain for useful knowledge. And I make it a point. Yes,
When
Lenny.
I first got sober, there were 2 of us on the west side. There was Black Lenny and White Lenny.
I remember Black Lenny.
Yeah.
Oh my God, he would give me an address book. We didn't have cell phones back in the day. It was like pay phones and an address book. And he gave me an address book so I could write numbers of other alcoholics that I could call when I was in need and I needed to talk to somebody.
Can you imagine the scene in the old days when there were still phone booths, you know, and people had to call their sponsors, like drinking a coffee, smoking a cigarette?
I was sober
Drop
then.
a
so
quarter.
yes,
Yeah, dropping a quarter.
It wasn't that
It was
long
a dime.
ago.
Yeah, it wasn't that long ago.
In fact, I relate to that, the 20th century more than the 21st, really, with that kind of stuff.
So you've been sober a long time.
23 years.
Wow.
It's great.
So
you mostly alcohol? Only alcohol?
Alcohol and anything that would sedate me.
All right.
But you mentioned acid. I did, I'm a child of the 70s, so I did all those, window pane and...
You were in California at the time, or?
I was all over. I grew up in Chicago, and so it was kind of like, we rode around in Camaros with 8-tracks and...
Right.
And we thought it was music appreciation. We didn't think it was anything we'd have to pay for later on.
Can I be honest? I've never seen an 8-track. I don't even know what it is. I swear to God, I've never...
I have to say, it was the world's worst.
I have never
format
held an
ever.
8-track in my hand.
All the tracks run in 4 tracks, and then they reverse, right? And then you would skip along the tracks, and so you would join random songs in progress.
Oh, really?
It had to be the worst format ever. I don't think there was a better, like...
So that's what caused you to get into...
They were huge.
Yeah, they were
the size of an iPod.
Right.
And then I got sober.
Judah, were you old enough to see the birth of the cell phone?
Of course. I'm 35 years old. I mean, I would love to say no. But, yes, I remember ringing up that first bad bill on my parents' cell phone. Which I'm sure everybody could relate to that first bad bill where you're like, I don't know how it happened.
Well, they used to charge by the minute.
I know. You're on the phone for 2 minutes. Your bill was $100.
I know. It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
And so I'm fascinated by this bath salts thing. That's kind of new, right?
Yeah, it's the new drug, right?
Well, it was on 2020, which is interesting because we had never heard of it, and then we got this call, and then about 2 weeks later, it was a segment on 2020, and it's an epidemic, especially like in the Midwest. And I think you know what it is. It's cheap, it's affordable.
Are they snorting it?
Yeah, they're snorting it,
smoking it.
Yeah.
They're not actually putting it in the bath.
Yeah. I mean,
it's going everywhere but the bath.
The reason why they're able to sell it is because they have it labeled as not for human consumption, and you can just walk into any head shop or.
Well,
smoke shop.
MDMA, which is key ingredients in ecstasy, was legal in the 80s. I remember being in Berkeley and going to pharmacy. You could buy a jar of it. Mm-hmm. So, and then they made it illegal. So there's always a lag time, I think, between, the
Well,
FDA
see, the thing with kids now is they know there's a price to pay for this. Like when we grew up, there was really no role models for sobriety. I mean, I remember the only person I ever saw was Gail Storm, and she'd come on at like 4 o'clock in the morning.
Right.
And
I don't even know who that is, but I'm guessing
it was pre-Betty Ford.
Yeah. I mean, Betty Ford just passed at 93 last week. and which we're still kind of sad about. Yeah, you're right. All this was very much in the closet and very stigmatized.
Yeah.
And it's one of the topics we've discussed a lot. Like Alcoholics Anonymous, like why it was anonymous. And now so many more people are coming out and talking about addiction, and it seems to be much more acceptable. And I think people have accepted the concept of the disease theory of addiction. I think people still have problems with the issues of use and abuse prior to addiction and the moral consequences.
We had that on our post last week. I mean, there were people in that blog you were talking about
really
where people
weird.
believe it's sin.
Yeah, I actually put up
well,
there.
There's a lot of shame,
right,
but it's becoming more open for discussion.
Right.
But when I got sober, definitely young people were not really getting sober at that age, and you weren't really discussing it with adults and peers. It was still like a secret, and it was shameful, and it was embarrassing.
Hey, when I got sober in New York, it was pretty, I didn't know there were people under 50 in my first year of sobriety when I got sober in Brooklyn. And then I went to a meeting in New York, which was a really cool meeting. It was called Never Had a Legal Drink. I remember when the meeting first started, there were like 15 people. Like a year later, I swear to you, there were like 300 people at this meeting.
Yeah. Wow.
And it was pretty cool, the acceptance that had happened.
Well, I got sober in Chicago, and we went to the Mustard Seed.
Oh.
There's a mustard seed in New York.
Yeah, there is.
And they had meetings like all day long from 6 a.m. to the 11:30 waiters and waitresses meeting. And you can imagine what the 11:30 was like.
So listeners that have no idea what you're talking about, explain sort of what this is. These are meetings for AA.
Right. The first 2 letters of the alphabet.
But they're called different names, because there's a lot of listeners out there that don't know about AA or the culture of AA.
Isn't that amazing though that you just said that? It's like the 2 first letters in the alphabet. We have the best location in the phone book, yet we're the most anonymous. You'd think with the AA we'd be like, wow, it's
Well, AAA, it's right after there, so it's your drinking or your car.
Right.
It's like.
You all right there, Lenny?
I'm sinking.
Lenny's got the bad chair tonight.
Oh no!
You're the comedian. We gave you the joke chair.
I know.
A snake pops
I'll
out of
be
it
under
later.
the table before the night's over.
So you've been sober 23 years. You got sober in Chi-Town.
Halloween weekend, 87. I was at the Limelight. Was my last night out.
Wow. I might have been there.
When the Limelight in New York.
In Chicago.
Oh, there's a Limelight in Chicago.
I was thinking of the Limelight.
Chicago copies a lot of New York.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, the mustard seed's a story from in the AA Big Book. There's a thing about the mustard seed, I believe. What is a mustard seed? There's some sort of relevance to it.
The tiny. Well, they mention it in the Bible that it's
Bible.
the tiniest seed that can grow through cement, and from the tiniest little mustard seed, growth can happen.
Using that as an analogous for sobriety.
I did not know this.
Yeah. You learned something that wasn't that much of a well of useless knowledge. Now was it?
I got it. It's one for Judah.
But I got sober in the 80s, and those meetings were like fascinating because it was right near the ghetto, and there'd be 80s with people with mink coats from Michigan Avenue, and then ghetto people, and every cross section of society you could possibly imagine in this one room.
Right.
And I didn't even know anybody who was sober, so it was like stumbling into a lost secret society, really.
It still exists, by the way, just not in L.A.
Right.
You could still go to meetings in Brooklyn or Manhattan and see that cross.
Right.
In L.A. it's a little more segregated.
Demographic.
Yeah,
cross,
demographically,
yeah.
And so when did you move out here?
91. Everybody kind of pushed me out of the nest. I didn't want. I had been doing a lot of geographics when I drank, and had been out here before. And every time it got bad, I would go back to New York or go back to Chicago. And I was in Chicago doing a play, and living in a hotel above a porn shop, and
which in those days was easy.
Which
so many.
Which I thought was fabulous.
Yeah.
And geographics, for those that don't know, mean just people are using and they want to go somewhere else to get away from all their problems.
Right. I had kind of went all over the country. I had, I couldn't stay in one place for more than a year and a half. And you would hear things like, wherever you go, you take yourself with you. But, when things got rough, I would move back to New York because you wouldn't need a car.
We like that, yeah.
But you had to have a coat.
Right.
There should be like a thing of like an app of like worst cities to be a drunk in. and I put Mesa, Arizona as the #1 worst city.
Mesa, Arizona?
Because
Why?
the bars would close at 1.
Now, well, first of all, why were you in Mesa, Arizona?
I got sent to a halfway house in Mesa, Arizona. And I was in a halfway house in Mesa, Arizona, which is Joe Arpaio area, and who's considered the hardish sheriff.
Right. Oh, I've seen it. He's got the tent city.
So
right.
I was like scared to death to drive drunk. So I had a bicycle.
Oh, you should have been.
Yeah. And I realized the bicycles never go straight when you're drinking, but when you're really drunk. But yeah.
Did you ever get stopped for drunk walking?
No.
Yeah.
I'm sure. Did you?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Public intoxication.
Yeah. It was. Yeah. The public. I never got a public intoxication.
I would get a series of jaywalking tickets. Like I don't.
Who was it last week? I was last week, right? The guy was saying that it was not. Oh no, I was up in Oregon visiting some guys that on a rehab up in Oregon, and they were telling me that it used to be that the DWI or driving while intoxicated ticket was not the bad one. That was like just you pay it and it's no big deal. It was reckless driving that like counted on your record. So there was this guy I met who had 12 driving while intoxicated tickets, and then finally he lost his license for reckless driving on the 13th time that he got pulled over. And that was before MAD and all those groups really came in and changed the laws. Yeah.
Well, I never liked drinking in L.A. when I was drinking, just because if I didn't count beer and wine as alcohol, that was just something I drank.
That was a beverage, right?
That was like getting ready to drink.
Right. So liquor is really
vodka, and
right.
then at the end of the night, scotch. So it kind of stood out more in Los Angeles. That's why I kept going back east, because the bars stayed open till 5 o'clock in the morning.
Right.
And you're not as glaring as you are in L.A.
Right. And then you got into comedy. Have you always been a comic, or?
I went to film school and started doing like no budget movies, and every time I tried to take myself seriously, everybody laughed.
Right.
So it was kind of like by default.
You had no choice.
You know, I just wasn't allowed to take myself seriously. You know. And then when I came in the program, they told me that people that take themselves seriously is a sign of mental illness.
There's a lot of truth to that.
But I think also if people are listening and they're not, and somebody just turns on and they hear us laughing about like these crazy things,
right?
And it's like it's true. I mean, you go speak, when you're sober and you go speak sometimes at a school or you speak to people that aren't familiar with, in 12-step meetings we laugh at the sad stuff.
Right.
But when people hear that, they're like regular, normal people. They're like, "Are you out of your mind?"
They're going to shock.
Yeah, you could have died. They hear our stories, go, "You're insane," and we're like, "Ha ha 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 ha! I almost died last night." Ha, ha, ha.
I know that's true. You hear people come in and they, with 8 years that they got fired or they had a heart attack and the whole room busts out.
Right. It's pretty. It's an extremely
amazing.
Special thing. It's an extremely. You have to laugh.
Well, the laughter is part of the healing process,
I think that's true. Yeah. It's coming to terms with that. Oh wow, we actually survived that. And
right.
Isn't that amazing?
And it's almost shocking that we did, because
right.
it's when you're sober and when you're drinking and you're going through stuff, you don't really think about it. You don't really think about.
Nobody ever thinks it's going to happen to them.
Right.
Right.
Like
Right.
Oh, my biggest thing is like I have it under control. I'm in control. I mean, I kept
Right.
saying that, and as I was ODing, I'm still in control.
Yeah, and it's strange. You go out to a restaurant and you see people drink like half a glass of wine and leave that half
I don't
half
understand.
empty on the table.
Bizarre.
Right. Just like
what a waste.
I'm like,
that?
don't you want to finish that? Like,
right?
Did you guys have at the end of your drinking people talking about you in the third person, like as if you
We're
weren't
still
there?
doing that with Judah right now.
Like who invited him?
Right.
And is he with you?
Right.
I remember that at the end, like coming to as a surprise guest at parties. And
Out of a blackout.
raiding somebody's refrigerator and people talking about me as if I wasn't there.
Wow.
Like who invited him?
Yeah, I've seen that too, where even, being sober and then having people come over that are not, and, they get drunk and pass out, and you're just like, oh my gosh, like, what is this?
Well, and that's when you look at it and you say, I don't miss it.
Yeah, right.
That's when it's like when you could remember the concert in the morning.
Yeah, right.
And, and it's like where your car keys are.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the gifts.
That is the best gift, waking up in the morning and being sober. It is just, you're like, it's just the best feeling in the world not to have a hangover.
Well, it's also knowing what you did the night before, not having any shame or, not like, oh my God, I screwed up again, or oh my God, I can't believe I was just going to go out and do this, and now I'm late for work, now I'm late for this, or I didn't show up for that, my family, or whatever it is. Just that feeling in the bottom of your stomach where it's just like, oh, I screwed up one more time.
Who are you next to me laying in my bed?
Right.
Like,
never happened to Judah.
No, never.
Poor Judah. You like wake up and you're like, I don't even want to know what
happened.
happened.
That's why I blackmail on you, because it was you. But I think that's one of the things that separates, the 12 steps from religion, is that we're not shame-based. And hopefully we're not morally based, because you don't want to walk into your temple the next day after a night over and go, hey Bob, you know what I did last night? And you call up AA or you call up any 12-step group and they're going to say it's okay.
Right.
And to take the stigma, we always talk about the outside stigma. It's the inner stigma that kills more people.
I had a client this week actually who came up to me during the week. I was it was during between groups at the treatment center, and she said, am I going to die? And that's one of the toughest questions to answer.
Eventually.
Because it's like, yeah, you could die. That you have health problems. You're still, you just came off another episode of relapsing and actively using, and the odds are you're going to die. And it's tough for people to hear that, but what's interesting is that you could tell she sort of knew that she was at high risk to die, but she didn't really have a sense of how bad she really was. And I think most people that are in their addiction really don't have a gauge of where they are in their addiction.
Not only that, I think they have like a denial, and they don't realize how sick they really are.
They really are, exactly, yeah.
Because I've worked with new people that claim, oh, I don't remember having any blackouts. And I'm like, that's a blackout.
Right.
And I actually sponsored this guy that kissed the pavement, smashed his face and said, well, I never had any problem with motor skills. I go, you just, kissed the pavement. I mean, that would be a problem with motor skills.
Yeah.
Like, in their mind, they're not as sick as they really are.
That's one of the aspects of the illness. It's so
well, it's almost a dysmorphia thing. It's in the sense you look in the mirror, you don't see what's real.
Well, because actually, if you really looked at it, then you might have to do something about it. And I think that's what's scary, is that it becomes so overwhelming. Like, if you really start admitting it to yourself, then a change needs to come. And sometimes we're not ready for that change, but we don't know how to stop.
Yeah, I think that's it. People don't not know how to stop, but they don't know what else could help fix them.
Yeah.
Like, because a lot of people start drinking or using drugs to self-medicate, either their feelings or their psychiatric issues or whatever's going on. And it's been a solution, and eventually that solution becomes a bigger disaster, and it's that.
Right, but it worked in the beginning. It did. If it didn't work,
the
people
part that
wouldn't.
I think that's the part that a lot of people aren't honest about. That drugs are, when you first start using them, can be very pleasurable and can actually help people. People with schizophrenia actually get a positive benefit to using amphetamines when they start using them. It makes them feel more alert, and it makes them feel. And we used to prescribe. I mean, the prescription of a form of methamphetamine was very common for schizophrenia not very long ago. So, psychopharmacology has grown immensely in even the last 20 years, but certainly in the last 40 years, the changes have been really dramatic. But
But I often say alcohol kept me alive until I could get to AA.
And I think there's a lot of truth to that.
Yeah.
I think that when you look at suicidal ideation, you look at depression, you look at anxiety disorders, and the lack of understanding that the general public has about all this broad band of psychiatric illnesses. And when you look at 50+% of the population is going to have a major mood disorder, a major depression, or an anxiety disorder, that's a lot of people. That's 150+ million people in the United States that are going to be sort of setting themselves up with, one, a psychiatric mood disorder, but two, there are a high incidence of alcoholism and drug abuse within that population.
No, I mean, for me, at a very, very young age, like maybe even 5 or 6, I was in touch with the fact that I didn't feel like I was normal.
Right.
I never felt like I was a normal kid. I always went to bed with the resolution that the next day was going to be different, and every night I went back to bed feeling like I had failed at life. So there was definitely something that was off, and the alcohol and eventually the drugs that kind of calmed, and like a lot of the stories that also I would tell myself, and it just kind of made me able to cope until like it got so out of control that I almost died, and I didn't know there was another way, you know.
Right.
Yeah, there's one thing I want to say that's really important is that I think a lot of younger people think that if they give up their drugs or alcohol, that they will never have fun again. That they won't know how do you have fun, and you know that's one of the reasons why I love the 12 steps, because I thought that way too, and then I ended up going to AA, and of course I was in New York City and back and forth between LA and New York, and I ended up having more fun, having the biggest belly laughs of my life, and going out to sober parties, going out for dinners, going bowling, going to amusement parks, and just having the best time. And I really want to get the message out to the younger people and older people that you can have so much fun once you put down the drugs and alcohol.
Well, it's funny that you say that, because somebody was one time really honest with me, and they said, so you were having fun? You know, they were like, you know, because...
I have no memory of it. I have a photo of me at the 100th Kentucky Derby facing the opposite direction of the horses. And Secretariat's going by, and I don't even remember being there. You know, it's like the Centennial, you know.
Yeah.
Like you miss everything. I feel like I missed like there's a whole year there. They're like 1981.
You know, do you know how I know about 90s music? I like listen to the VH1 shows. You know,
behind the music.
Not behind the music, but the number one hits of the 90s. Like I'm like watching these shows, going, when did that come out? That's a song, and that's how I know the 90s is like, you know, the number one hits of like, thank God for VH1. It's you know, but that's also, I always say why we remember sobriety time is because I could remember when I did things. You know, like now all of a sudden life is chronological.
I start to wonder what happened to those people, like you were talking about, when you first get sober and you go bowling and you go out, you sit in coffee shops till they close, and you have these huge belly laughs. We had a huge posse of people that I got sober with, and the ranks start to thin out. Because if you go to meetings with countdowns, you'll see it sort of drops out at 5, and then 8, and then 11, it drops out again, and it gets kind of scary, because when I came in, there was a huge group in the 80s that kind of cocaine kicked everybody's ass and brought them in, but they didn't. A lot of them didn't stay.
Andrew's going to hate this analogy, but I compare it a lot to nursing homes. Like, you know, there are a lot more.
About having fun.
There are a lot more people in nursing homes that are 65 to 70 than there are 95-year-olds. It's like, and I say it a lot of times about sobriety time. It's very few. You see it, you know, it's very scary as they're doing these sobriety counts, and there's like 100 people for 1 year, it's 50 for 2, and then it starts, and then you get down to like 20 or 15 or 30, and it's like a few hands. And you know, some people left, some people stopped going, but a lot of people didn't make it.
Right.
And it's, you know, those two 95-year-olds in the nursing homes must be like, oh God, what have we done?
Well, that's what's great about Palm Springs, if you've ever been to meetings out there, because it's really like the Jurassic Park of because there's people there, there's people that have been sober since Kennedy was in office, you know.
Yeah, well, where Betty Ford lived, you know, that there is I know, I've been to meetings down there, and if you
I gotta say, well, like watching like Mad Men on TV, and I just think, how come I had to miss that? Like when you could have been the businessman, like with the bar in the office.
Because can I tell you something?
You know, like,
can I tell you something? I've thought about that. You know, that's like the drunk's perfect dream. But the problem is when you have alcoholism and addiction, you wouldn't have an office like that.
I don't know, but you watch the show and it's pretty brutal. I mean, there's guys like, you know, passing out and throwing up, and but it's just amazing how much the culture's
do businessmen
changed.
still drink like that on?
Well, I know in the entertainment business they do. I mean, you know, I was working in the entertainment business doing a lot of financing, and the day was built around drinking and doing drugs. I mean, you know, Cat Williams, who's a great comedian, has that funny bit. He's like, he says he goes in to talk to a bunch of producers about doing a movie, and the guys whip out cocaine and start doing it on the table in front of him. He's like, hey guys, I can see you, you know, like, you know, and LA's like that a little bit. You know, there's a piece of LA where people just, it's into the culture, and especially in the older school producer class, you know, everybody drinks at lunch. It's all about business lunches, 2.5-hour business lunches, and you're just drinking through the
And
whole
that's
thing.
why the movies are so great these days.
Yeah, right.
And,
that's why they do the same one over and over again.
Yeah,
They
that's
can't
why
remember.
the music and the movies are so great.
I saw that like they're doing The Thing again. I'm like, that was the third time in 20 years.
I know, and they're
we're doing
making
this
Men in
film.
Black 3 and, you know, Bad Boys
It's like,
3. It's
Thelma and Louise.
It's like,
How can you remake that?
Yeah,
are they remaking it, or is it like a prequel?
And they just remade Arthur, which was a bomb. It's
Wow.
like, you know,
yeah.
I don't get it.
Well, you know, you have people.
Well, the VPs are like 25 years old now.
Right.
Right. So they didn't see the first ones.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
If you ask any of these people, like, have you seen Citizen Kane? I mean, honestly, how many of them would actually say yes?
They should be fired if they haven't.
Well, it's
I actually heard somebody at a meeting yesterday referred to the Go-Go's as the Go-Go Girls. Like it was like a combination of Golden Girls and Go-Go's.
At this point, they are. And the
They're
number
touring again.
They're actually trying to put together a film right now.
No,
Really?
but Lauren made a good point. You know, I got sober at 21, and
Right.
you know, you can have fun. You can have an amazing time sober, and life doesn't end. It really doesn't end. If anything, when you put the drink or the drug down, life kind of begins.
And I think people become more realistic about, there's been this extension of adolescence in our culture.
Yeah.
Where now, you can have 6-year-old adolescents almost. And alcoholism and drug abuse is a good way to stay in that period without having to sort of face becoming an adult. And so this thing of becoming adult becomes such a block. It's like, oh, I can't deal with all that. I can't open the mail. I can't face my responsibilities. I can't take the risk of actually failing at what I really want to do. So I'm just going to, keep avoiding it by using and drinking. And then people get sober and they realize, you know what? All those things that I feared are really not that bad, and things
they're
really
actually enjoyable.
They're actually enjoyable, and
Right.
things do come to you. And if you face your fears, things change.
I mean,
Plus, you get to find out what you do and don't like in sobriety. I don't know about you, but when I was drinking, I just went with the crowd.
I really didn't do much of anything.
I didn't ask myself, am I enjoying this? It was just getting through it.
I lived in Israel for about 3 years, and I remember my friends used to go away. We were in school, so a lot of times they'd go on vacations during the weekend or whatever. They'd go to, different parts, and they'd say, "Hey, why don't you come?" And I was like, "Because I could drink here." And I was like, why do I need to go there to drink? I mean, I'm just saving the bus money, and that wasn't a Jewish thing. That was an alcoholic thing.
Well, that's the thing is that, it does become more isolating. At first, drinking is fun. You go out with all your friends.
It's the it's the great isolator.
And then you're the only one that wants to drink, and then next thing you know, you're at home drinking by yourself.
Yes.
So.
Which is amazing. That's the fascinating.
Or you're around 5 million people by yourself,
Right.
facing the wrong way to a horse race.
Yeah, it is sort of the fascinating thing how it turns, how it totally. It's like what
you invert into isolation.
What was this becomes.
Well, there's that line in the Big Book where it says it gives you wings to fly and then took away the sky.
Right.
And
Yeah.
it really is like that. It turns on you. I mean, at the end, I went from being the life of the party to having auditory hallucinations, and I was afraid to tell anybody that I was hearing things, even now.
God forbid they think we're crazy.
Yeah, and it's amazing how much psychiatric illness does develop within addiction, and people don't really realize that. Everybody sort of says, "Oh, marijuana isn't dangerous." I can't tell you how many people. The fourth most common reason to come into an emergency room, drug-related, is marijuana. Yeah, and people don't realize that.
And they are so annoying. I have a resentment against potheads. I just always have. I can't stand potheads.
Well, there's an arrogance there that's very.
It's so true.
Yeah.
It's they think.
Well, it's like Groundhog Day. They keep playing the same record over.
And they have a name for their
over.
bong, and they, it's like it's like those guys in high school that would just, and they were the bong guys. They just annoyed me, and and they like, ooh, I never understood 5 dudes smoking weed together. It just sounded gay.
Out of a bong.
Out of a bong. It's like what?
Maybe that's why they enjoyed it.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I did go to an all-boys school, but I just never understood pot smokers. I never, because you know what it was? There is an arrogance. It's the people that would walk away from the 60s going, "You didn't know the 60s." And I'd be like, "I didn't want to know the 60s, okay? You smelled."
Oh, my God.
Have you seen the...
Judah has no resentments that he needs to work on, by the way.
The revival of Hair, the musical?
Yeah.
I love Hair.
I had a literal panic attack watching that, because that's not... Hearing that music again, and it reminded me of that whole era when I was like 14. And, only these hippies had like cap teeth and looked really good, smelled good. It was nothing like what I remembered like.
Did you ever do the Rocky Horror Picture Show?
No, I didn't do that one.
But I mean, I hated the Grateful Dead. Okay, let's get back to my weed resentment. I hated them. They had no talent, and no offense, Andrew.
Yeah,
you
you're
probably
just alienating half our listeners.
Yeah,
It's no big deal. Don't
okay,
worry about it.
no offense to half our listeners, but I just hated the Dead, and because there's always this arrogance, like you don't get the Dead. You know, I don't want to get the
Well,
dead.
let's get the dead it's a subculture. Like
Right.
fish now is, I guess, that subculture.
Fish
moved
is
over,
atrocious.
Right.
Somebody should euthanize them. I'd rather hear the dead. Okay, I take the dead over fish, and that's my resentment. I don't know what it is.
Okay, you had to get it out. It's
Yeah, I
okay.
did. I had to get it out.
This is the cathartic moment of the show.
This is where I
Right.
cry.
We're gonna do some
This is the Barbara Walters moment.
We're gonna finally have our Barbara
We're gonna
Walters
find out
moment.
why I hate the dead.
That's before my time. I was more into punk rock. And
Me too. The Germs.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, punk rock. Yeah. Another
my
resentment I
first
have.
my first concert was T-Rex and Lou Reed.
There we go. We got Grateful Dead playing in the background, just for
Oh.
My
I'm
first
going to
concert
start
was-
seizuring.
Look, he's got hives breaking out on his arms.
You know, it's funny. In the one Dead song I like, Deadheads hate. That's what I always hated
The most
about it.
popular one.
Yeah, it's like Touch of Grey.
Touch of Grey. That was the MTV
Yeah,
attempt.
that was their sellout song.
And they had the stupid skeletons.
So,
Yeah, it was pretty bad.
Yeah.
Well, it's acid music is what it is. 'Cause it just goes on and on
Right.
and on.
It's a good way to waste 10 hours.
I thought I used to have a drug counselor in Israel, and he was the biggest deadhead, and every day I'd walk in at therapy and go, "Did you hear?" And he's like, "What?" I go, "Jerry Garcia died." And he would be like, "Are you serious?" I'd be like, "No." And then he died.
Oh, no.
And,
I had a friend I used to do that too.
Yeah.
That's so funny.
And then they made an ice cream.
And the number here is 877-8830, 830. That's 877-8830, 830. We're going to have a call-in guest in a few seconds.
I believe so.
And I guess we'll take a break for a second.
Yeah, I guess we could take a break.
For
And
about a minute. Call
tell
our guest.
people a little bit about our webpage.
Yes.
Our Facebook page.
Yes. You could find us at KLEANradio.com, or you could find us that's Clean with a K, or you could find us on Facebook at Clean Radio. Like us, say hello to us, comment on us. Say hello to Judah. I need your approval. And I
Give
need your
Judah some
love.
Needs your
positive
validation.
feedback.
I need as much validation. Give me some loving. I want Facebook listeners to say how much you hate the dead and this song. We'll be back in a second with our guest Michael Halloran, another guest, and we're in studio tonight, having fun.
Do you suspect a loved one is abusing drugs? Call Clean Treatment Center at 888-601-6040 for a free drug test and consultation. A treatment advisor is available to help you administer the test and answer any questions you may have regarding treatment and more. We are here to help. Call us today at 888-601-6040 or find us online at cleantreatmentcenter.com for your free drug test and the start of a promising future. Addiction is any behavior you cannot stop that results in destructive consequences. Are you struggling with an addiction to drugs or alcohol? Are you ready to take control of your life? The treatment advisors at Clean Treatment Center are here to help. Call us today at 888-601-6040. That's 888-601-6040. You can also check us out at cleantreatmentcenter.com. That's clean with a K. The sooner you reach out for help, the sooner your new life begins.
Clean Radio on Angels Radio AM 830 is presented by Clean Residential Treatment Center, a dynamic and professional addiction treatment facility.
Now it's back to Andrew and Judah.
All right. Welcome back, Clean Radio. More Judah dance. Oh, my goodness.
For the block boy.
I know. I like that you slowly draw people into doing it as well.
How
which
can
is
you
really-
not? It's intoxicating, the Judah dance.
Yeah. Well,
Andrew just joined. Come over to the other
Yeah,
side.
I'm not. I'm
Come over to
not,
the-
I'm
come
not
over to
going
the
to
Judah
the
side.
dance. I'm sorry.
Come over to the Judah side.
How do you pick what music to play in between?
It's me.
Grateful Dead.
It's-
Only Grateful Dead.
So actually, I have a wonderful engineer in the back there. He's lining them up, or Judah has his selective, occasional playlist. But,
Can I just say hi to somebody?
Yes.
Sure, go
I
ahead.
just want to say hi to Joey Feldman. I just
The
have
Jewish
to.
Wolverine? The Jewelverine?
I just love that man.
Patty's doing dating online
Yes.
here
Yeah.
on the radio. I don't know what's going on.
No,
there.
he won't have me.
He won't have you?
me. No.
Who would not have you, Patty? That's terrible.
The Wolverine.
The Wolverine.
No, that's it. I just wanted to send a little
Patty,
love out
you don't
there.
have a trace of a French accent.
You
at
know
all.
what? I moved here when I was almost 7. I came from Nice, France. My mother met an American, and we moved to DeKalb, Illinois. So
Must have been a lot of Moroccans there. A lot of French Moroccans.
Oh my God!
She brought hummus.
We were actually living in Paris, and we came from Paris to DeKalb, Illinois. You know, home of the flying corn, and you know.
I didn't know that.
NIU, and it was such a culture shock, and I didn't look like the rest of the kids. And
have you been back there for meetings, like at the American Church, the American Cathedral?
I'm never going back. I actually, the moment I could, like, I was about 16. I'm like, I'm moving to Morocco. I need to get to know my people.
That's like one of those towns you leave.
Yeah.
You don't come back.
I mean, everybody.
No, I mean, have you been back to Paris for?
Oh yeah, no, I've been back to Paris, and and I've been to Morocco. I mean,
I was
love to
wondering
travel.
how you knew about DeKalb. But you were talking about Morocco.
I think I drove through there once.
No, Pat and I, we're spreading out to Paris. We're opening.
Yeah, I
shop
speak
up
French
there.
fluently, and
I feel like I'm on a dating show here.
Yeah.
Lenny's getting it going here with Patty.
No, I'm not.
No, just way back Chicago connection.
All right, the
but I have no
Chicago.
accent. My mother still has an accent.
Well, we got to
but-
jump into our call. We got our
Okay.
caller here that we've lined up.
Yeah, his name is Michael Halloran.
Right, so we're gonna get him on there. Michael, welcome to Clean Radio.
It's so funny you guys were talking about DeKalb. I spent a whole month there one night.
And
and you survived?
Yeah, I stopped at a gas station, and that's all.
That's everybody's DeKalb story.
But there was a supermodel. There was one supermodel.
Yeah, Cindy Crawford. That's like
Cindy
the claim to fame.
Yeah, that was I think she was the only piece of corn that got out.
So, Michael, welcome to Clean Radio. And I guess we had you on primarily. You have some history in the
music business.
And
Michael was in bands. He also worked for station Y107 out here. I guess it was a very popular station.
Yes, I worked there. I worked at K-Rock back in '88. I worked at a bunch of stations in San Diego. In fact, I believe at this point, if you add up all the call letters, or not the call letters, but the frequencies that I was on, it adds up to 666.
Oh no. My goodness. Anyway, so you had some experience working, I guess, with a lot of these stars that have died of addiction and overdose.
I've met a fair share of guys that you could almost tell that they were so far in over their heads when they started making it successful that they just started, kind of falling apart, and they were reliant on everybody doing everything for them, and they just, kind of fell further and further into the cocoon until, and probably the best example would be Shannon Hoon from Blind Melon.
We spoke about him in the beginning of the show because I was saying he was another guy, wasn't he? 27.
He died in New Orleans, right?
In the back of the tour bus. He came out of the tour bus.
I was there that night, actually, down at in front of the venue.
What a loss, though. That's another loss.
Yeah,
that's one of the great videos.
That was a great video.
Very, very, very sad. Very sad when guys as talented as that, or females as talented as they are, to just succumb to. Jude and I were talking earlier, before the show, how sometimes the managers don't want to do anything about trying to get somebody clean because they don't want to get fired. They don't want somebody to fire them and say, "I'm not going to get clean."
Right, and they are guys on tour with the band, and they got to keep things going.
Right.
So.
But nowadays, it seems like there's a lot of sober companions that are running around with people. There's guys who are actually keeping them on the straight and narrow,
But those guys are still on the payroll too, on some level.
Yeah, they are, but at least they're on the payroll where they're supposed to be keeping the guy functioning and sober and clean, so that the show can go on. Otherwise, the guy's not going to get a paycheck if the guy can't perform or the girl can't perform.
Well, and touring's become so much more important as a revenue stream.
It's changed.
You've got to keep it going.
It used to be record sales, then touring, right? Now it's touring and then record sales.
And the disaster helps sell records in a way, so.
Well, concerts and the merch are pretty much only the real revenue stream that most rock bands have nowadays. They'll tell you that, because unless they own their own record label, and a lot of them are still signed to major labels, they can't really make money on selling records. A lot of times signed to major deals, you don't make money that way. You make money on touring, and you make money on selling merch, and you make money on publishing if your song's a hit and it gets played on the radio a million times.
So we've been talking about this 27 club that everybody's talking about. All these famous people have died at age 27, And you know, I was talking with someone earlier, actually, who isn't on the show tonight, but we were talking about our friends who have been in the business, the music business, for a long time, and it seems like there's like a run rate. You know, you kind of run and you get into addiction, and then you're sort of getting that second album or third album, and you just can't make it anymore, and either make it out or you don't, and you become largely disposable to the industry. I think certainly now it's changing because the industry's changed dramatically. But, you know, Amy Winehouse is an example of someone who had talent and yet was enabled to sort of function, even though she was completely dysfunctional.
Until she could no longer function.
Yeah, I mean, they had her, we were talking about earlier, they were propping her up on stage.
She's like a horse.
And people like that train wreck, too. I think there's something about that. I don't know.
Well, nobody ever talks about the 83-year-old guy with a successful life. You know, nobody ever goes, yeah, he was great in his day. What a life, you know.
Well,
like, unless you're Tony Bennett.
Did any of you guys read the Russell Brand?
Yes, we posted
eulogy?
that on our Facebook
I didn't.
page.
What's this about?
Russell Brand, who obviously had huge issues when he was younger, got sober, I think, when he was 24, if I remember correctly. Or it was 2004 he got sober. But he basically had met her when she was a nobody in London, and, you know, just in England, a term of endearment is to call everybody by your last name. You're Smith or Smithy. So she was basically, you know, Winehouse. And so, you know, every time he saw her, it was just, oh, yeah, Winehouse, you know, blah, 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 blah. And then eventually he stumbled into a show one night, and he watched Amy Winehouse on stage with Paul Weller singing. In fact, you can see it on YouTube. It's an old, heard it through the grapevine. And he just couldn't believe how amazing she was. And then suddenly he realized that he'd been giving her all this kind of crap for all these years and not realizing that she actually did have talent compared to, you know, he was an actor and a comedian at that point. But, you know, she was just kind of like just in the scene. And suddenly it was like, oh, my God, she does have a good voice. And it really hit hard because obviously he's been sober now for quite a while, even though he plays a good addict. And it really tore him apart.
No, I'm joking.
But you talked about picking up the phone and calling too. You know, making that phone call.
Yeah, he said that's the phone call you can't make, but it's the one you always get when you find out that somebody you know is dead. And I found out yesterday afternoon, a friend of mine in Detroit who, you know, hadn't gone through similar things, but, you know, knew that, you know, I'd been, you know, in the business for a while, and he just said, you know, Amy Winehouse was found dead in London about an hour ago, and I was just shocked, saddened, you know, not surprised at all, but just really kind of annoyed because I would imagine the people around her handlers, really didn't quite have an idea of what and how deep this addiction really was, and what they could have done to really kind of pull her out of it.
Well, and you hear the story, she was surrounded by a bunch of friends when she OD'd, and, you know, it's really sad. I mean, you know, we see that all the time, and you know, a lot of the people that I end up seeing in treatment now were in bands that were big in the 80s and the 90s, and now they're a mess. You know, and it's not just the band members; it's also their spouses that got equally addicted with the band members as they were, you know, in the peak of their career. You know, I have a lot of husbands and wives of famous people that we treat that just got caught up in the whole thing, and now, you know, they're addicted to all sorts of stuff. You know, just trying to keep it together.
Well, they said the same thing about Greg Giraldo, that he had was surrounded by friends in his hotel suite when they found him dead.
He was at a party. Yeah, he was in the middle of a party and sat on a couch.
I met the guy, one of the nicest guys you'll ever meet.
And smart.
And he was supposed to be sober at the time.
Yeah, one of the nicest guys you'll ever meet. And, you know, and the problem is, you know, it's, you know, with whether it's Amy Winehouse, and we were talking about this, or Kurt Cobain, their addiction and their death their talent gets overshadowed by their life. And you know, these people were extremely talented people. You know, that I wish could have gotten sober and we could have heard what they did, what more they did.
Well, there was a very famous manager years ago. I was trying to get an interview with a massive English artist, and I talked to him. I was living in Detroit at the time. I called him in London and said, "I'm going to be in Toronto for this big festival. Will your artist sit down and do an interview with me?" And he said, "No, you won't." And I said, "You know, do I have to ask publicist, or, you know?" Because I'd known this guy for a while. He handled a few other people, and he said, "No, Mike, he's basically off the deep end now. He's drinking himself to death, and I don't care." And I said, why is that? And he goes, because dead men sell more records.
Great.
And this is me asking him, to basically, let me talk to the guy so, I can, find out about furthering his career, maybe selling more records for him. He's like, he didn't care. He wanted him to get, dead at that point.
I think a lot of that also is that people that are around addicts get so frustrated and angry with them. They constantly are trying to get them to get it together or keep up their end of the bargain, or they're setting contracts with them that they break, and you get frustrated and angry. So the people that are uneducated about how to deal with someone with an addiction, or they're relying on them financially to make their career work as well, right? They end up building this resentment, and it comes out as anger. I think it's a classic example of someone just being sort of like frustrated and angry, and unfortunately, at the point where it's self-destructive for both the person that was abusing whatever they were abusing, but also for his career as well as the guy that's working with the guy.
Well, the great part is that the artist in question is still alive, and I have no idea what happened to the manager. At the time, hopefully he's found some other form of vampirism, I guess would be the term for it.
Well, cool, Michael. We're running out of time here, but I really appreciate you calling in.
Yeah, and we'll call you again.
And hopefully you can call in again and give us some more on-air specialty information about the
wonderful.
Recording.
All right, thank you for the phone call, guys.
Yeah, thank you so much.
You. All right.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
It's it seems to be this constant problem that just keeps reoccurring. So.
Well, I think the biggest thing is like you said, it's like you have so many lecherous people around you. I don't even know if that's a word. But
it is actually a word, Judy.
Wow.
You got lucky.
I got really lucky that it's like the Sam Kinison thing or the Chris Farley thing.
For the record, by the way, Patrick.
I got the right word. But it's like the Chris Farley thing. How many people could have said to him, "Hey"?
We did. I knew Chris Farley well, and the thing that would bug me is we'd go to meetings and people would hand him screenplays in the meetings.
Yeah.
It's
awful.
It's hard to focus.
It's like. Do you not get it? This guy's here to save his life, you know?
Yeah, I don't think people get it, and I think, how many times have you run into people that say they go to meetings to meet people? It's like, or get work or whatever.
Right.
I think there's always going to be that percentage in LA.
Right.
In
Brooklyn, nobody ever said it. Like, nobody was ever like, hey,
I'm trying to get a job making bagels.
Joe the Butcher, he's going to be at that meeting. You got to go, because nobody cuts a piece of meat like Joe the Butcher. And speaking of stuff, I noticed, Patty it will be appearing on the Oprah Network pretty soon. Next week, to be exact, right?
Yeah.
With a celebrity, and Patty will.
Patty, you got a lot of things going on.
Yeah, why don't you
explain
it?
You got that, the Tatum O'Neal thing. You want to tell us a little bit about what's going on?
Well, Tatum is an amazing, amazing woman in recovery, and after being, not in her dad's life for 25 years, they did a reunion show, and it's a docudrama on her relationship and finding her relationship with her father, and it's like 8 episodes with OWN channel on Oprah,
right?
And it's called The O'Neals, and it's Sunday at 10 p.m. And
right
I've had the pleasure,
and
I've had the honor of being asked to be on it. I play a part in Tatum's recovery. And she's an amazing woman, and I love her.
Are you
and so
next week?
Yeah, I've been on some episodes, but next week I'm going to be on. And
what time?
10 p.m.
Is that Eastern or Pacific?
Pacific.
So you can watch it right after our show.
Yes, you can watch it right after. Go from KLEAN Radio.
You can go
to O.
Patty on the radio to Patty on TV.
Yes, but that's if you want to listen to our show delayed next week, because Patty was on the radio this week.
Whatever.
And the O is next week. And do you know what channel? Because I don't know where the
OWN. I don't know.
Oh, okay.
It just depends. I think
it's Oprah. Who cares?
Yeah,
you can pick it up anywhere.
I mean, you can
just say Oprah.
You can go on Oprah.com, and you can find. It'll tell you where.
Right.
That's
it's
exciting.
a great show. It's actually
it.
really, really a good show.
And
my mother-in-law actually was telling me all about it all the way down. So through my wife. So I was talking to my wife, who was on conference call with her mother, talking about that show. So
and also
it's
give us
definitely popular.
Tell us one more time about Connections in Recovery.
We are a company that is dedicated to helping you to find the right kind of help.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're dealing with addiction, eating disorders, sex addiction, gambling, whatever it is, we'll give you that personalized attention, and we'll help you get the right help and just call us. If you're in trouble, basically call Patty and Lauren at Connections in Recovery, www.connectionsinrecovery.com.
That'd be
and
great
we want to
if you
help
coulda-
you.
That would be great if you could have gotten that number. Call Patty.
Call Patty.
Yeah.
Call Patty and Lauren. Lauren just is amazing. I mean,
Yeah.
like Lauren, I actually met her professionally a couple years ago. I was sending her some cases, and her integrity spoke volumes. And she was just like, for me, the right fit. That's Lauren.
And
Thank you, Patty.
and Sarah.
And Sarah's
And
our
Sarah's
head
new
counselor.
to our
Let's have Sarah say hello.
Yeah, Sarah's amazing, and I take her on cases that she
Anybody who's
actually
willing-
still talks to me
anybody who's
afterwards. She
willing to
still
listen
talks
for
to
2
me
hours
afterwards.
without saying
Yeah.
anything. is-
Yeah.
It's been very interesting, actually. Thanks for having us on, you
Oh,
guys.
you're more than
Our
welcome.
pleasure. Thank you.
Yeah, and next time you come back, you can get more airtime.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah.
I have a
Great.
lot to say.
She's actually been
We'll give you an
channeling.
exclusive
she's
hour.
actually Andrew. She's been channeling me the whole night. So like the
Right.
word ledgerist came from her.
Oh, that was
She. I just
right.
heard her. I heard it in her brain.
That's a new Judas skill.
Yes, telekinesis.
This is another one for the Judah highlight
Yes,
reel.
but
Yeah. She's our little Canadian, so we got a little New Yorker,
I
a little
noticed that
Canadian, a little
outside,
French
yeah.
Moroccan.
Yeah, you guys are like the United Nations of help.
Multicultural
Yeah.
help
correct.
group.
We're
That's
going for
great.
the Charlie's Angels of Recovery.
Hey
here.
now, hubba hubba.
So Larry, what's been going on with you?
Lenny.
Lenny. Jeez.
Lenny.
This is my big joke. I'm just gonna be the worst person with names ever.
You really are.
They say. There we go.
A little too
You
late.
know what's bad is my mother does the same thing, so I obviously inherited it. It's like some sort of brain deficiency.
It's called self-centeredness. But anyway.
It's narcissism.
Narcissism.
I have a running joke about this with a friend that
Yeah?
in 3 weeks I was called Larry twice.
So it's not uncommon.
I have no idea why.
I don't know.
What are the? Is it Larry and anything that's sort of like with an L?
Right.
Yeah.
Larry,
Exactly.
Lenny, it's
Louis.
Louis. Larry, Lenny, Louis.
So where are you going to be appearing? Any?
I'm not promoting anything. I have my eye on the Wendy's in Norwalk on the way home, and that's about it. I might raid your refrigerator before I leave. But
Take a corner booth and do a set.
You'll be appearing at the Wendy's on 110 West towards
Do you
San
have any
Pedro.
YouTube clips that people can look for? Or?
Yeah, there's one really embarrassing one where I'm.
Well, that's
it's a
what people want to
dance.
see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, you got to dance.
It's a dance scene, and I'm channeling my
It's
dead
fantastic.
grandmother.
See, Judah, you're not the only dancer.
Yes, well, we could have a dance
It's
off.
bad. It's
We
bad.
could have a Jewish dance off. Not that I'm implying you're Jewish.
A lot of
but
my stuff didn't even make it to video. You know.
A Jewish dance.
a Jewish dance off.
That's the scariest thing I've ever heard, I think.
No.
Andrew, if you can't beat him, join him.
Ah,
Come on,
that's
just
true.
you know what? Just put those arms up when the music comes.
Having to
Join
do it.
Judah.
I've
Yeah.
watched my wife dance, and trust me.
I've seen you dance though, so don't. So let's be honest here. Okay?
I'm very careful not to move my feet.
Yes,
It's very important.
Because you might lose the towel.
That's right. Wow. Wow. We had to go there?
Yes,
Yes, we did.
we've digressed.
All right,
So, Lenny, I would love to see you perform, actually. So I would like to know.
All right, I'll let you know next time I book something.
Okay.
Well, put it on our Facebook.
All right.
Please put it on
Yeah.
Facebook.
Yeah.
Oh, we're on Facebook too.
Yes.
So you
Yeah,
know.
what's your guys' Facebook?
Connections in Recovery.
Well, there we go.
And you can find us on our Facebook page
And,
because Patty has linked to
and
us.
Klean is
And
on our
Twitter.
Facebook.
We're on Twitter. Actually, I do the Twittering, Patty at CIR.
I can't wait till all these sites are just one site.
Yeah,
You know,
I
it's
know.
got to
It's-
just be like, because now it's like we got to mention like 7 sites.
And now
It's like
Google's
an
coming
LA
up, and now Google has their
right,
thing.
Google Plus or whatever.
It's too much.
right? Just keeping them
Getting
all
back
up
to our
date.
addiction, they say it's harder to turn off your computer than it is to get off of drugs.
I believe it. I sleep with my cell phone and my iPad now.
But that's a whole other story.
Right, so between the cat, the dog, my wife, my,
Yeah,
my
but
cell phone, and my iPad. There's
But
really not much
considering all
room
the
in there.
good work you do, you need to be available.
That's true. I am on call
He saves
24/7.
lives. This man, I've seen miracles. I've seen his work.
Yeah, it's
He does good.
I stay busy.
He's one of the honest professionals in the business.
Well, thank you, Judah.
And in a business that it's not always easy to to be it's true, and I'll give a plug for Klean. We've been giving a plug for everybody else, but it's a true it's to say I can help you or I can help you, realizing that it's a lot easier to say I can help. and then offering to say to somebody you might need to go somewhere else to get help.
Well, we do a lot of free care too. Like I
tons.
think people don't realize that 10% of our beds go out for free every month.
And you have a hard time saying no, so it's a little bit more.
I know. I'm a bit of an enabler.
Yes. So let's be real.
But it's good. I like being able to help people. I've been doing it for a long time. So.
I think if you hold on to that and your priorities help people, then it stays kind of pure and you end up helping a lot of people.
It comes back so many more times than, I mean, I think the clients that honestly have appreciated me the most are the ones that, really wanted it and didn't have any means to get any help and were shocked that, we were able to give them help.
And I was telling them outside, because we're in a hurry, we got to go, but I was saying somebody was mad at you that you didn't take a free client because the client didn't want to get help. And the only way you would take them for free is all they had to say is, "I want to get help."
Yeah, I won't take them unless.
Right.
And and the person all of a sudden is like upset with you, so because your criteria is that they wanted help.
Right. You got to have a basic criteria.
And we are out of time.
We are out of time, but I'd like to thank everybody for coming in tonight.
It was absolutely a great show. It was a lot of fun. It flew by,
including our caller Michael who called in, and of course we got to mention Sonny, our biggest fan, and calling from Cleveland.
Sonny, come home.
What commitment?
Come home, Sonny, with my hat. Like the song, Sonny came home. Sonny, come home with my hat. And
well, thanks again, everybody. It's been Clean Radio, and we'll be back next Sunday at 8 p.m.
Find us at Clean Radio. That's cleanwithak.com or Clean on Facebook. We'll talk to you soon.
Yay!
Dope show, we're all stars now. In the dope show.
Do you suspect a loved one is abusing drugs? Call Clean Treatment Center at 888-601-6040 for a free drug test and consultation. A treatment advisor is available to help you administer the test and answer any questions you may have regarding treatment and more. We are here to help. Call us today at 888-601-6040 or find us online at cleantreatmentcenter.com for your free drug test and the start of a promising future. Addiction is any behavior you cannot stop that results in destructive consequences. Are you struggling with an addiction to drugs or alcohol? Are you ready to take control of your life? The treatment advisors at Clean Treatment Center are here to help. Call us today at 888-601-6040. That's 888-601-6040. You can also check us out at cleantreatmentcenter.com. That's clean with a K. The sooner you reach out for help, the sooner your new life begins.